Let it ride. Oh, I forgot to change the camera angle. Sorry, guys. How's it going? This is Mikey Wine here. You guys know me as Gundam Money Works, and we're live. Part 17 of the 135th scale M61A5 main battle tank, but now it's kind of turned into a diorama because we got the Zaku head from the Rambarel 135th scale commando set, and Yo Angel's in, and Nick was in 5 minutes early. It looks like 4 minutes early. Man, how you doing, Nick? Good to see you again. Missed you last week, but as always, thank you so much for joining. Angel, how you doing, sir? Good to see you as well. So, I just want this project to be done. You know, I keep saying that. I want to move on to the next one, but I just got to keep plugging away here. It's been hard to get stuff done during the week. I've just been exhausted most of the time. But let me go down look here. So pretty much right where we left off. I did a little bit of work, but again, not a whole lot from last week. Got some of the armor bits here. I really like the way these cables, in fact, let me just go down. Do me and the bird count as two? Well, yeah, you're sure? Yeah, that can count as two, Angel. Angel's got a new Cooper's Hawk that he's raising from a baby. So he's got another child to take care of, essentially. Nick says, yeah, I got caught up on vacation. Oh, you're on vacation. Well, that's a perfect excuse. I know George would probably say no excuses, but we'll give you a pass on that one. If you're on vacation, absolutely. So let me go to close up here. So I really like the way these cables hang and are kind of, they go right to the ground level, and then they're kind of just laying on the floor, on the ground level. I'm still trying to decide what to do. This is where I've been struggling this week, is what to do with this separate section here. I actually connected a piece of it with another wire and spring, but I'm not sure I want to have it actually connected to this other, I may just have this separate, because it can go in here in this junction, but I may just have it laying over here, and I'll redo these cables just strewn about on the ground. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how to do that. I was going to have it connected just to look like it had pulled out. There's still some cable still attached inside, but it kind of pulled through the sleeves of this energy cable. All the internal wires are still there. They're just pulled through, which is kind of what I've got here with the loose connection here. But I'm not sure if I want to leave this connected or just have the cable section separate, or the little individual sections separate, and have the cables just kind of laying on the ground. So battle damage, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to figure out, is just how to display it, Angel. Like I said, I've got right now, the way I currently started doing this, I have these kind of attached where I've got a piece coming off of this side. It goes into here. And I was going to have the other two black cables kind of laying on the ground, just have it connected by that thicker spring. It's a piece kind of like this. It's just this thicker spring. But, it kind of gets in the way of these other loose wires, and I want to be able to see those. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just have this detached, and then I can have these pieces just kind of laying on the ground here. You're gonna have three sections: a shorter black wire, and then I'll have a slightly longer one, because there's actually a third one you can't really see, which is running along the back, but it's just hanging, not even touching the ground. It's just kind of drooped out and hanging there. Like, I can actually lift it up and show you. So I'm going to take this piece off so I don't drop it. But these are actually glued in place now. I did use some CA glue on that. Let's see if we get the look there. So they're coming out, and then the third one you can see in the back there is just kind of hanging right there, hanging by itself. But those are fixed now. They're actually glued in and will be painted with that final section of tubing there that's attached to the nose cone kind of area. This will be, I'll just pull this out, put it on a skewer, and paint it as a unit. Then this piece that is in the back that's touching the ground here will, will sit on the ground kind of like this. Yeah, I think more and more now that I'm thinking about this, I think I want to, actually, let me turn this off. I'm going to make sure I don't hear the notifications on my phone going off. Let's see. Angel says, I say farther out from the main part as flying away, still doing dirt splash. Yeah, that's a very good idea. So like over here or something, somewhere in front. I did have kind of an outline where I thought it might go, but I think over here, because there will be a section of this. Actually, let me pull up one of these parts. I don't know if it's this one or not. It might be the other side. I can't remember exactly which side it is, but one of these two. Actually, no, I think it is that first one I had. So this is a small kind of a coupler piece that goes around the bottom of this last section of tubing. I was going to have it embedded in the ground there, and then maybe have this over here somewhere on the top of the dirt. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Angel. On the top of the dirt. But yeah, just kind of, slam into the dirt. You're going to have some dirt displacement there when this heavy head section hits the ground. I still think what we talked about last week is I'm going to try to go forward with that, and that is putting one of those flicker LEDs underneath to look like simulate sparks, kind of just a random flickering LED. I have these LEDs that don't require any special wiring. You just put power to them, and part of the circuit board inside the LED just randomly flickers, almost like a candle. But if I put a white one underneath it, it's somewhere hiding underneath, you'll see that ambient light maybe flashing at the bottom. Holy crap. I swear. Kick rolls in with these gigantic, look at this. Hey friend, I saw your channel and noticed you're posting great content. Whoever, you need more followers. Yeah, okay. Spam. Come on, guys. Stop spamming me. Otherwise, I'm just not even going to broadcast to Kick anymore. That was a new kind of a streaming platform where people can upload live streams, kind of like Twitch as well. The same kind of thing. Decided to try it out and see, and so far all I've been doing is getting just freaking spammed like crazy every time I do a broadcast. Now, you guys probably don't see that because you don't see the comments unless I post them on the screen. You just see the ones that you guys are talking on Facebook, or on YouTube. Whatever, it is what it is. I'm just not interested in paying somebody else to get subscribers. I don't do this for that, at least not right now. So anyway, I'm still kind of toiling with the ideas here. I think I like having this section. Let's bring it up here. I like having this section a little bit more separated, like Angel was saying, and then maybe just having some short cable sections come out of this larger piece that have been severed off from what is here dangling on the side. So I guess we're just going to keep going forward with that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this piece out again, keep my magnifiers on, and I had this piece cut to be connected, but I may just end up redoing it. I'm going to shorten it a bit, and then it doesn't fit that tightly in here. So if I put this back in, fiddling with this, it takes time to get this right because I've got to. All right, I just lost my piece here. Okay, so when this is actually in position, it's actually touching the ground, just to kind of look like that disconnected cable under its own weight would kind of be hanging down. So this is the piece that I did have coming off of that, but I might just cut this even shorter. I've got a shorter piece of spring that I can cut off and then just have this. Yeah, see, this is too far down. I got to reposition this. Now, every time I fiddle with this stuff, it kind of gets out of position. So once I get everything finalized, I'll fix it in place and glue it. All right, so this will sit like that. These are flat on the ground here. And then I've got to have this piece kind of coming out of the middle of that. So I'm going to start with I'm just going to leave this one alone for now. I'm actually going to use this shorter piece of spring. Actually, I have another piece here that I've already kind of stretched. One of the things I did do is this spring here. I stretched the end out so it looks like, it still looks like a spring, but it looks like it's been pulled apart. It kind of gives you that effect of being stretched and snapped. Giovanni, what's up, dude? How you doing, Giovanni? I'm late to the party. Last week I had 2 graduations to attend. Well, that's fine. And again, like I said, George would probably say there's no excuses, blah, blah, blah. But hey, you know what? Nick was on vacation and you're doing graduations. Those are way more important than watching this old man. So I think what I'll do here is I have a couple pieces of brass rod that I trimmed off. I might be able to use for this and just cut this down. But I've kind of stretched this spring a little bit as well. So when I bend this, I want those ends to kind of look like they've been pulled apart. So just stretching that spring out so it's not contacting. You see that kind of like this. I'll see if I can zoom in. So what I did was, let's see, come on, focus. Focus. Come on, focus. There we go. So you see how that end is kind of stretched out a little bit? I can do that closer to the end of it as well, but that will also give us that effect of having that cable pulled apart. Just kind of grab the end of it and just pull there. See, just by tweaking that end a little bit. And then the wire will hold it in position. I don't even have to have the wire going all the way down. Just a little bit coming out of the end here. I think that'll look good if I can get that. And I can cut these down real simple with these little trimmers here and cut those springs down to size. So see if this is long enough to work with. Sometimes it's easier to start with a longer piece and then do the bending from there. Because the shorter stuff is a little bit, it's just stiffer. It's harder to manipulate and bend. Bend it to the point where it's what I need. Actually, where did my file go? I need my. Where is my file? Oh gosh, right in front of me. Jeez, I had it on the board. I was looking next to my board here. So I'm just gonna file out the burrs on this because I've cut it a couple times, so I got some burrs on it. All right. So this is going to come out straight from the middle. So it's about at a 45-degree angle almost. And then I'm just going to have it just kind of bend it. I can bend it right down the middle, really. Just to have a slight bend to it. In fact, I may end up, I'll try using the board here just to kind of help, because my fingers are having an issue. Okay, there we go. So now I've got like a slight curve to it there. Where did my file go? Gosh, I just set it down and I buried it. So no worries, guys. How's everybody doing? As the it's hard to believe I've been doing this project. This is one of the longer ones for this year. Typically, I don't I try not to anyway, but this project has evolved, and we've been doing it 17 weeks now. So it's getting up there in numbers. Okay, so just want to do a quick test fit. This is going to sit in the middle and kind of come out because this is at an angle. So the end of it actually goes right through the middle. I can go in as far as I need to there. Yeah, that might work good. All right, so let's take a piece of this spring here. I'm going to just feed this on. I want to cut it extra long because I want the rod inside to kind of hold the shape, but I want the spring to be longer than the actual rod underneath it. So I'm going to cut it about right here. Okay, so now I've got about maybe an eighth to a quarter, 3/8 of an inch. Not 3/8, and like 5/16, maybe just extra cable. I'm just going to stretch it slightly on the end here. I'll use these again. See if actually, not these guys. Kind of just give this a pull. Right there. Now, I'll pull this back out and flip it around because I like that first end that I made with that broken cable. So it will look like that. All right. So let's see, let's put this back in. Now I did it. I dropped it and it went under Zaku head. Back out. This is the fiddly part of doing this kind of stuff because you got to kind of keep test fitting and it takes time to go back and forth. There we go. So then that will stick out just kind of like that. Another one. I can share your live stream to the kit community. Oh, thanks. Positive income. My Discord name is blah, 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 blah. Not interested, guys. Stop spamming the chat. Otherwise, I'll just block all those users. I mean, I'm really not looking, it's fine. If you want to help out, you want to help my channel out, that's fine. I get it. But I'm certainly not going to pay somebody. I already pay enough on StreamYard just to stream, live streams. I'm not going to pay somebody to, I just need those numbers. I got to boost my followers. Look, guys, this is a model build channel. It's not not an influencer by any means. I mean, who knows what will happen in a couple of years, but I'm not, right now, we're not worried about that. When I get closer to retirement age, yeah, maybe I'll try to dedicate more time to this. All right. So I think I'm trying to, it's just wanting to push through because it's such a short piece. I can't see exactly. So there we go. Let me try to stick that in there. I think you get the idea. It's going to kind of just hang out there like that on the ground. It's not quite in where I needed it to go because that wire is wanting to, it's such a short piece, it's actually wanting to slide through the spring. Let's see if I can try it this way. There we go. Okay, good. That's kind of just barely sticking out of the end. I think that'll work. I can glue that in place. and it should be fine with it, as long as I got this in position. There. That looks good. You influenced me into getting Macros kits. Well, that's a good thing. Okay, I'll take that one. About to finish a car kit you started in 2017 Ford GT 24 hours Le Mans. Oh, nice. That's probably got a lot of decals on it, doesn't it? What's up, Julius? How you doing, sir? Good to have you as well. Julius says, good evening, everyone. Yeah, as long as I'm influencing people to maybe buy and build model kits, I'm okay with that. But, I keep getting spammed by Kick. I mean, before I was getting the same thing from Twitch. They were doing the same exact thing. Here, give me money and I'll boost your channel and followers, and it probably works. I get it, but I'm not going to spend money on it. I'm not in the business of doing that right now. So I'm definitely not going to spend money. Give somebody my hard-earned money just to promote the channel. I think I've done a decent job by myself. After saying that, though, like, subscribe, smash that bell icon. Make sure you don't miss a live stream. Okay. So I kind of like the way that is positioned. These are still laying on the ground perfectly. So what I might do before I go any further is actually glue that in place, so that one will stay there. It doesn't look like much on screen. I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to carefully do this. I was going to try not to stack a bunch of. I got all these pieces of wire and stuff on here. Every time I lift this board up, everything just wants to roll off because everything's round. Springs, rod, the brass rod. You name it, everything wants to kind of roll off. So I'm just going to kind of pick these parts up so I can spin this around and you can get a look, maybe a little bit better look. All right, so without, oh, it kind of fell out already, darn it. See, that spring was in position. Now it fell out. So let me see if I can get it back in there. Oh, it just went right back up. Nope, it came out. Gosh darn it. So how you doing, Julius? Good to see you. Come on, get in there. I have this tiny hole. It's a 1/16 hole just drilled in the end of this, where this cable is, where the end of it is going to go. Okay. And it's kind of hard to keep everything in place. So let me spin this around. So that's a little bit better view. So you can kind of see what's going on. And obviously there's no damage to the lens, the glass yet, or the armor. That's all going to come later. I want some of those internal frame bits visible as well, so I will have some of those sections blown away with that stuff uncovered. Should be a nice effect. Yeah, Giovanni says, yeah, it has, but I was... Oh, you're talking about the decals part, yeah. You're running out of Mr. Gloss. He's all clad gloss, and now it looks pretty far away, really far away. What do you mean? Like it didn't, the gloss wasn't compatible, it didn't work out well? Julia says, good, thanks. I put aside my RGM78, work on the entry for Zach's new contest, Summer Plamo. Oh, I haven't seen that. What are the rules with that, Julius? Is it kit specific, or what's the theme, or what? Tell us about it. And I'll put those whatever info you give on us, I'll put it on the screen. So, all right. So I guess what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull some CA glue here. And if Giovanni wants to answer that, let's see. This was running out of Mr. Gloss. I used all clad gloss, and now it looks pretty from far away. Excuse me, I read that wrong. Really far away. Is it just because the all clad gloss is just not working well with the Mr. Color, or what? I don't know. So I've got my accelerator here, Instaset, and I've got my Bob Smith Industries. Let's see. Yeah, it didn't work. I don't know if the all clad is too old. Yeah, it's hard when you're mixing products like that too. They just might not be compatible. From my understanding, any kit using a summertime theme. Oh, okay. So that's the theme. Huh? That sounds cool. All right, so I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to take this piece out. I'm going to glue in this spring, and then I'm going to reinstall it so I can get it in position really quick. I know it sounds easy, right? It's not going to be. So I'm going to put some CA just on the end of this. I will have a little bit of working time with it. All right, now that that's sitting there, let me just pop this back in on the back. Come on. There we go. Angle it down. Everything in position. Ooh, that was fast. That almost set really quick. All right, so that's good. Now that I'll let that sit and dry for just a second. And then I can work on the other smaller, the black cables as well. I'm just going to clean off my glue. Sorry to hear that you had some issues. Did you just, were you just unable to find more of the clear gloss, or did you just not realize you were going to run out? All right, I need tubing. Let's see, I think, what was I using on the tubing? I think I was using a smaller rod. Yeah, okay. So this fits in there just nicely. So this is the 1/32 rod. I've got the 1/16, which was the thicker stuff that I was using for the spring. I've got a couple of pieces of this. Now, I think that's probably set enough, at least to where I can put some of this Instaset on there. That should keep everything in place. I just hope and pray when it comes down to the end of this, when I go to put all back together, everything lines up. That's why I'm not gluing these pivot points here, because I can swivel those parts to kind of get them in position so they lay correctly on the ground. Let's see. I don't want to use 2K clear, because last time I used 2K on the Corvette kit that I built, I was Albentos, what? Ablento smell. 2K clear is all over the house. Someone told me 5 coats of Mr. Color gloss. Yeah, I always use Mr. Color. Actually, the stuff I started using recently, though, was Gaia Notes, the GX line. I think it's a GX. Let me see what it is. This is, the EX line, excuse me, not the GX. So this is the clear gloss, which is EX03. EX04, I think, is flat. Let me see. Oh, yeah, EX04 is the clear flat, and those bottles come with quite a bit in them, and they're pretty thick. So you really have a good opportunity to thin it and actually create more clear coat more than the bottle itself, because you've got to thin it so much. But yeah, that stuff's amazing. Works really, really well. Super happy with that. All right, so now that this is set enough, I can take this back off. You can kind of see. And then Giovanni also says, let's go to the next line here. I've been looking all over the place for Mr. Color Gloss. Nobody has it. I found a place in Florida. Placed my order of 10 bottles. Then I get an email saying they don't have it in stock. Lovely. Have you tried decanting from the aerosol cans? That's what I used to do all the time before I started buying the actual liquid form in the bottles. I was decanting. I was buying the rattle cans of Mr. Color Super Clear Gloss and Flat, and then I was decanting it into a bottle, degassing it from there, thinning it down, and then using it in my airbrush from there. You can almost use it right out of the can. It's thin enough, but it always required maybe just a little bit more thinning after that. So I've got 2 other holes here for these smaller cables. I'm just going to drill in a little bit more so I can get a little bit deeper hole here. It's funny, it's going through, but then when I go to put the rod in, it doesn't go in. I guess that's enough. Yeah. Sorry about your troubles, as far as finding the product you need. Fortunately, I did a lot of stocking up prior and during COVID, so a lot of the stuff I use on a regular basis like that, I did not run out of. In fact, I even sold some. There were some friends of mine that needed some of my leveling thinner, and I ended up selling some bottles to those guys back east at the time, just because they were short and couldn't find it. Nothing was coming over. Everything was kind of on short supply. But I have a lot of bottles of a lot of stock of that stuff. So all right, so that lays like that. I've got to, once I assemble it, I'll send you pics. Okay, cool. I'd love to see it. Yeah, I'd definitely love to see that. Let's pump that on screen real quick. Okay, so I'm going to just bend this. I want this piece to kind of lay, because I've got cables here. I've got this one dangling out the back, so I think I want to lay this one down kind of over here in this open area. So I'm going to come out somewhere around here and then just kind of bend it so it's laying flat on the ground. It doesn't have to be bent side to side as much. It can be even straight, but if I just pick this up and don't move it, I can kind of see where the angle has to be. It's pretty close. That goes in like that. All right, yeah, not even close. I've got to come out further. I got to come straight out. So I'm just going to straighten that out a little bit. Maybe right about there. I'm just giving it a gentle bend. Doesn't have to be sharp. I just want it to, it's going to come out and then lay flat on the ground. All right, so let's try this one more time. There we go. It looks pretty good. It's laying flat. now that I've got the angle, I can actually give it a little bit of little side-to-side variance there. So I'll just take this, bend it back and forth. All right, so that will sit. Let's try this again. Another test fit. Oops, looks like I got the wrong bend there. Or I put this in wrong. Yeah, definitely got the wrong bend in it. So lay this flat. I've got to reposition this. That's the tricky part, is getting these bends in the correct angle. And Giovanni says, I started airbrushing. I was getting really good results with all-clad, but recently all my all-clad has gone to hell. Damn. Yeah. I hate to say it. I don't use all-clad much anymore. I do occasionally on maybe a metallic piece or something, but that's really much all I ever used all-clad for anyway. But it just seems like more and more, because of their black base and their formulations, they might have changed. They might have had to change their formulations based on what is compliant, you know. Gosh, I got the wrong angle altogether on this. And I've noticed that some of the lacquer thinners I've tried to buy from like Coast Airbrush in California, that's where I used to get all my lacquer thinners that I used for cleaning my airbrush and doing, you know, whatever thinning, and because I use Mr. leveling thinner for my paints, but for cleaning my airbrush, I used to use this, you know, straight up odorless lacquer thinner. And the problem is, it's just they keep having, you know, the regulations keep making stuff non-compliant. So that when I went to order one time, they just basically told me, yeah, we can't ship this to you. We can substitute it for this other one, but if you want, you know, if you want us to do that, go ahead and say yes, and we'll ship it. Otherwise, they may have, you know, they'll just cancel that part of the order because it's not compliant. So I don't know if All-Clad had to do the same thing with their formulations. Maybe that's why they're having issues, or people have been having issues. I just haven't used it in a while. Since Mr. Color's come out with a lot of their super metallic lines, I've been pretty happy with those results. I mean, still All-Clad I think is going to be slightly better if you get the surface prep right. You can really get some really great metallic effects, but yeah, I know that Mr. Color, all I got to do is thin it and put it in my airbrush, and I'll get great results every time. So it's sometimes, most of the time, that's why I go to those other, you know, that product, because I know it's going to work. I know I'm not going to have any issue with it. You know, nothing worse than getting to the point where you can paint part of your project and then just having it just go sideways because what you're using, you know, the product you're using is just not to snuff anymore. And it's too bad, because All-Clad really is nice looking stuff if you do the surface prep right and you get the right black base down there, then get the right black base, then you get really great results. All right, So just still trying to get this wire to sit right. Once I get the angle here. It's pretty good. I'm almost certain there. I just gotta straighten this out slightly. It's a little bit tweaked, but okay, that's pretty good. So now I'm going to clip this off so I can slide that black tubing over it. I think somewhere around here's a good place to start. Hopefully I have enough of this tubing left. Just realized I don't have another piece of this bigger stuff. I might have some in my drawer. I'm going to have to go look here. I only pulled out the one piece. Again, this was vinyl tubing from those 1/12 scale Tamiya motorcycle models. They use it for like the radiator hoses and ignition wires, brake lines, stuff like that. All right, so this piece is not quite well. I can trim the rod down, but it's just not quite long enough. But I can make the hose shorter. No big deals there. Just want to kind of get a final test. Yeah, it's a little bit. Still a little bit raised. I want to straighten this out. It's not quite off the ground. I'm trying to make sure it looks like it's laying flat on the ground. Oh my gosh, this is all coming out. Just realized nothing's been glued in, so everything's falling apart here. This head is not staying together. There we go. Back in there. Okay. I don't know why that was coming apart, but so this will go in like that. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I think I'll just cut that down. I'll make it a little bit shorter, and then I can trim the end of the tubing. So I'm going to take the wire, because I want that just the black tubing to stick really over the end here. Okay, just like that. I just need I'll cut this at an angle. That will look like the tube has been severed, or the cable's been severed. Just a little bit of a random cut. All right, do that again, stick that back in there. Still need to make a little bit of adjustment with this. I'll just turn the cable. There we go. The tubing had a little bit of a curve to it, so it wasn't the wire inside that was causing it to lift up. It was just the tubing itself. So all I did was just rotate it. Okay, so that's laying across the ground now. The next one will have kind of come out over here. Won't be very long at all. Let me see if I've got another piece of that vinyl tubing here. Let's see, what was it? Here. No. One of the bins here has it. There we go. Let's see how much I've got in here. There we go. There's another piece. Got plenty of the small stuff. There's lots of that tubing in here. Lots of those thinner stuff, but not so much of the. That piece is just enough. I don't need any more than that. All right, let's put this stuff away. It's one of the macro stickers I got from one of the print shops that sent that to me. Pretty cool. I like it. Okay. So I have this piece here. This is enough. It's got a little bit of paint on it or something, but it doesn't matter. As long as this rod fits down the middle. Yep, there we go. So that's good. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to rotate this around so that sits flat. Yeah, I'm going to have to give that a little bit of a bend. I just don't like the way that sits up off the ground. If I can get that to lay flat. You know, I guess I could if I needed to when I'm doing my landscaping part of this, when I put down this desert, AK sand, I can always build up, some of that dirt around it where it sits down so the cable will sit flat on the ground. If I just put a little extra mound of dirt or something. It's one way to get around it if it's not quite perfect. There we go. All right, the next one is going to be even shorter. It's going to come right out next to that. So I think what I'll do is, again, I'm going to grab my super glue here. I'm going to glue those in place. I need a toothpick for this one though. And then I'll set it down, or I can just, I can just put some on the end of this. So what I'll do is get it in position, and then I can, before it sets, a little bit of working time, not much, but before it sets, I can stick that piece back on and then get this to lay exactly where I need it to. A little too much. There we go. All right, so this is going to go right here. Stick this in real quick. What happened? Now everything is all. Why is that? Should go. There we go. It's like not sitting where I needed it to. Okay, let that sit for a second. And this last piece isn't going to be very long at all. So out of the three, I've got like this piece, this cable here would attach to the one hanging to the back. This one would come over here to the other short piece that's going to come out of here. So that's where that sever is. And then, of course, the spring attached there. So kind of gives the whole length of the cable, the internals of it, as it got pulled out of this, section of tubing. All right, so I think, let's see, where is that hole? So that's not going to, still going to come out and take a little bit of a bend to the left here. Not quite. Let's see. I like it. Yeah, that was almost perfect first try. So now I just got to cut it down. Just a short piece and it should fit right in there. So if I cut it here, I can always trim it back further. Okay, so slide this on. Now let's see if I can get the right angle. Yeah. The rod was sliding down into the tubing, trying to just get it. There we go. I think that's good. I can cut it right about. So that's where the cable ends there, and then I'll. Yeah, maybe about right. Okay. I'm going to reposition this. Everything, there we go. Everything gets kind of moved around every time I pick this up, so we're all laying good and flat. Get this rod exposed. Gosh darn it. That rod just slides out too easily. Whenever I go to, if I don't quite get it right in the hole, it wants to just almost acts like a kickstand. These cables are coming out, are laying flat, so they're kind of holding everything up, leaving the bottom of the head kind of exposed, which which is great because I want to be able to see those, the inner workings of the neck and the pistons and all that stuff. I think I need to, this is in the right position. As far as the rod, I think I'll just do the rod first, knowing that it's in that correct position, but then I'll put the tubing on later. Doesn't need much. I'll do this by hand, it's just easier. Okay, I'm going to let that just dry for a split second here. Now that rod is at the right angle. And then I'll be able to install the tubing over the top of it. I just want that brass rod, and you can barely see it there. Save this piece. Take all this stuff off so I can spin it around and show everybody. So I've got one more brass rod there. You can see that I've got to put the tubing over it, but I think it's starting to look kind of cool. And then I can just pop these off and paint them. I'll probably end up taking all these sections off, the ones I can, just to paint each individual piece. Well, I guess I could paint it as a set, the whole cable as a set, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. But all right, so let's see if I can get this tube on now. Yeah, I don't like the way that's curved. I wish it didn't have that, because they kind of they give it to you in a roll, or it's kind of rolled up. So I'm trying to keep this, the tension anchoring it to the ground. Actually, I'm going to put this. I'm going to take this piece out of the back. I'm struggling. I keep fighting with this. I'm going to just put this back half together. This holds these in place. That way I can just put this back in the back as a solid piece. Keep this all together. It's falling apart. All right, so that is like that. This is going to go back on here. That goes in there and hold that. Okay. Start again. All right, so if I can install this correctly, it will hold the right tension in the right direction. There. All right, I'm still going to glue that in place, but let's get this to sit right. All right. Hey, Brian, what's up, dude? Bro Builder, how you doing, buddy? I'm needing to get into this fancy machining foam. Oh, yeah. I got this from Angel, actually. He gave me a piece that he had left over, so yeah, one of these days I'm going to get in the garage and sand this all down, but it's not going to be something I'm going to do indoors. I've heard it makes a big dusty mess. So anyway, disregard my outline there on the ground, but I've got those 3 cables on each side, the severed cables. I think it looks pretty good. They're all laying flat, holding their position. So once I paint everything, it should look really nice, I think. Hello. Corofoam. Is that what it's called, Angel? I don't remember. Let me see if I got an extra piece here that has the name on it. He gave me a big chunk of it. It's just enough to, I don't have any, there's no writing on this stuff. It's just big enough to cut this round out. And I have a wood base that this will glue down to. It's a round I got from one of the local craft stores here close to the house. So I just cut it out the same dimension. Then I'll take my Dremel and sand everything down and then kind of landscape it a little bit just for the tank. I use that pink stuff as well. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, that's true. I know. I think I've seen a couple of your projects, this kind of stuff. So anyway, how's it going, man? I haven't talked to you in a while. It's good to see you. All right. So, doing pretty good here. I think I can start maybe planning out where, now that I've got these cables, I'm going to glue this tube in place first. That's the last thing I need to do. And then I will start maybe mapping out where I'm going to do some damage to the armor. So let me take this piece back off. Put a tiny bit of glue on here and just slide that on. Don't need much. That's pointed at the ground, so now when I lay that flat, it's going to sit flat. It's having a little bit of an issue with the tubing because it was, rolled up, so I want to hold that round shape, and it kept lifting off the ground, so I just had to turn it to get it to the point where it would sit flat. I think that looks good. Okay, so damage is going to be primarily to this area, because this is where the cable's been hit too. So I'm going to have to cut this with the Dremel. I'm not going to try to do it by hand with a razor. That will just be catastrophic, I think. I think the Dremel will be, or at least I can get a majority of the material removed with the Dremel and then use a razor blade to sharpen the breaks and stuff like that, make it look like natural glass. But what I really want to do is figure out, like, when this piece is on here, it sits right here, kind of like that. So I want to have some of this armor blown away so I can see the framework underneath, the internals, which is what I really want to see, some of that stuff. And I've also got to figure out where to hide my LED for that flickering effect. So this bad boy sits up here like so. So I want to have a good chunk of this glass blown out. I think at least, almost to this back corner, even though we still got this dividing piece, that one of these that has to go on here too. It's kind of this section. I'm not sure if it's this one or not. Let's see here. Yeah, actually I think I did. Nope, I didn't grab the right one. There is a left and a right. Well, maybe I did. Nope. Well, maybe I did. Just had it. I just didn't. Yeah, I did. I just didn't have it fitted on there right. Okay, so. Or maybe I'm putting it on upside down. The hell am I doing wrong? I did have it. Okay, I just didn't have it on there right. All right, so with this all held together, I may have this piece I want to have here, but I might have quite a bit of it removed. It might be still have a connection there, but just like a sliver of that holding and the rest of the glass blown out. At least half of the glass, I think, would look good. Tell me what you guys think. You got any ideas or comments on that? So lay this back down. Oops. There we go. Yeah. I've still got a piece to put in on the outside. Those are there's little armor caps that go on they actually lock the armor panel on, but it might be actually removed. We'll see how much of that I get removed. I am going to have that collar piece removed. I'll probably have the nose section coming partially off with the grill. There's a little radiator for the nose here behind it that goes there. I'll probably have that partially exposed. I may even damage that up because if this is any kind of radiator, like an automotive kind of radiator, or those are tubes that go across, and then the fins are what join everything together, and that's what obviously creates the cooling properties of it, but when the air passes through. So if I carefully cut that out and kind of peel away some of those tubes to make it look like they've just been flayed out, I think that might be nice. And then having this nose section kind of partially removed on the side will take some doing, but I can crack open the nose there. And then I think as we discussed earlier, we'll have this tube section, this remaining something like I've got this separate section that I can change the angle on, but maybe have this laying somewhere over here. Or even further away over here. I think maybe that's better, but because obviously it's not going to be too typical because it got ripped out of this section here. So, yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm trying to make this look as realistic as possible, but oh boy, sorry, I got to do a quick stretch. Oh, back was getting tight. Sitting in this chair, holding one position for a while. All right, so I think a good, let's see here, grab my Sharpie. I do have this, come on. This just kind of floats. Oops. Helps if you put it in right side up. All right. So I think maybe coming across this area here. I might even have, I don't know if I'll have a piece of this still attached. It might be kind of difficult because actually I can glue it to the body of it. Because once I take this off, there's not going to be any structure to really hold that in place, but I can glue it to this seam along the bottom of the neck. And then maybe bring this back, again using the Dremel kind of tear away some of that. And then the glass, of course, will be blown out all the way across, but I need to make sure that it's within this framework. I think because this window is pretty small, that glass is not going to be, I want it to look like there's still a little bit around the edges that are intact, but the rest will be blown out. And then, of course, a lot of this will be blown out. So what I may do is, I think I may have to just take a pencil or something that I can mark that with without leaving a permanent mark on the glass, because I got, obviously you got to see it. I want to make sure it's. We can even have a good, piece of this, maybe the top of the head here damaged. Something like that. Yeah, that's still intact. Let's see. I got to make sure I know what I'm removing. So I think we'll go here. And then with this top, the nose piece here, this I don't need to have fully installed. I want it to kind of be lifted up, something like that, just to look like, when everything hits the ground at a high rate of speed, there's going to be panel separation, just like any kind of, if you've ever seen a car door, when a car gets in a serious accident, there's panel, none of the panels line up anymore. Everything's kind of moved around a tweak. So if I glue this in slightly raised up, I think that's kind of an interesting effect. It just looks like, purposely that panel separation. And then if I have the damage here, I can extend that damage to the piece on top of it. I think that'll look good. All right, so that's going to sit like that. I can take this back off. Get those to sit right. There we go. Yeah, I think that's going to look good. All right, boys and girls, we're getting close to the end here. I could even have an exit, since I have this looks like more of an entrance hole. Over here I may have an exit hole somewhere on the other side of the head. Might be a nice effect, be able to maybe try to peel out some of that plastic so it looks like it's an exit wound, essentially. Shouldn't be too terribly hard. I haven't decided if I'm going to add more panel lines to the top of this. I may do that too, just to give it some extra surface features. First off, I'm just trying to plan the damage to it. Obviously, I've got pieces missing, like the whole back. This whole back section will have to be installed. I just took a lot of it apart because I didn't glue everything together, so it's barely holding together as I'm manipulating this thing. Cut off the whole neck section, just leaving this exposed. I may have to use some plastic plate, to seal off this section that I cut. It shouldn't be visible once it's down in the dirt, but just in case, I want to make sure this is all sealed off because it shouldn't look like a hollow piece of plastic underneath. I'll have to put the pistons back in so we can see all those and damage, and maybe have a couple of them laying around. There's 4 pistons that go on this next section, so should be able to have bend them, have a few attached, have some of them off, laying in the dirt, and then of course all the extensive damage to the outer shell and the whatever's underneath the frame. Most of the head will be covered up, but if I do an exit wound over here, I'll have to do quite a bit of damage to this underneath too, because if I put a hole in this, I want to be able to look through and see the top of this, some of this structure underneath. Plus I can use those pigments, the white pigment, to look like ash that's been burned, or if there was any kind of a fire, like tanks, when the tanks catch fire from the inside, they just kind of leave this white layer of ash around the outside. So I want this to look like it kind of burned from the inside out. Ultimately, there'll be some black and soot, but there will be that white ash from those intense temperatures. Anyway, that's what I'm shooting for. We'll see how it goes. Just keep plugging away here. As we place this down, something like that. I do like the way these cables now have acted almost like a kickstand, really. It just kind of holds everything up, so I don't have to, now that they're glued in place, I don't have to worry about them falling out. I was kind of struggling last week with them falling out as I was trying to get the positions right, but so far so good. It looks like it turned out well. Everything's lined up. This one's a little bit raised, but again, once I start putting that sand down, I can just prop a little more up, or even bury it in the sand a little bit. Once I put the layer down and it starts to cure, I can shove this down in there and create an impression and then build around that. Of course, this will have to be painted and almost completely finished before I do that. So when I do stick it in there, that's going to be it. I'll embed it into the sand, and then it'll be a matter of just building up around it to look like it's kind of half sunk in the dirt from dropping from 60 feet and landing on the ground. There's going to be some pretty big crater, so to speak. So I got these other pieces. We'll figure out how to fully damage these. I may not even use this. This is like some kind of little cable, almost like a ribbon type cable connecting the neck to the back of the head, but it's not even really visible once you assemble the kit, because this whole back section back here it covers it up. This goes in to the bottom of the neck, and then it attaches behind the head. You don't even really see it, so that probably won't even get reinstalled. We're not using the neck pieces anymore. These here, this collar, this just kind of went together kind of like that, but those aren't even used anymore because there's nothing to attach it to. Plus that would be, I want that to look like it was left on the torso section. We've got a few more over here. This is the top. So this will be, if I do expose this nose section, this is going to be placed there. So we're going to have to make sure that's painted up nice. And it's going to be very dynamic. Let's see. Brad says it's going to be very dynamic when you have it all together. Well, thank you, sir. I hope so. I hope so too. It's kind of evolved. Again, I was just doing the tank, and I was just going to build the tank and kind of have a little vignette with the crew members on it. And then somebody mentioned the idea of doing the Zaku head, and I'd forgotten that I actually had the Rambarao set in my collection. So I decided to use it. I also have these spent shell casings that I think I'll have a few of those laying around as well. So it's just kind of evolved. Now that the tank is done, I don't know if you've seen the tank recently, Brian. If you want, I can roll that over here. I'm just going to move some of this stuff off the things because we have a little square. Let me go to this view here. I got a little square location where the tank actually sits. And I'll just grab him and bring it back over real quick. So, for those that may or may not have seen this yet, so now we've got a tank that will sit somewhere around there. The turret will probably be facing in this direction because I've got a crew member that's standing here, unless I somehow rebuild him with epoxy putty. But his legs and stuff are kind of formed to fit, and like he's kind of sitting on the rail here. So I'm going to have the commander in the seat. I'll have the other guy back here, and then I've got the driver, which will be standing up somewhere around this area, just kind of standing in front, looking at the Zaku head. So far, I think it's looking really nice. It kind of looks good on that with that view there because the color is not so. It gets really, really bright in here, and the camera picks up some really makes the tank look quite a bit brighter. Forgive my unfamiliarity. Is this leaning into Igloo? Good question, Brian. I haven't been able to watch the entire Igloo thing, but from what I did see, yeah, I think it's safe to say that it is leaning in that direction. I did get some inspiration from watching just a few of the beginning opening scenes of that one episode. That actually Handren sent me the episode, and so I was able to kind of take a peek at that and take some screenshots and go from there. Yeah, so far so good. I think I like the way the tank came out. It's a little bit dirtier than I originally intended, I think. But there is fiber optics. The headlights do work. I can show that too. Let me take off the turret here real quick. And I can just pump on got a little test battery here. They're not going to be fully bright, but it will at least light up. So let me put this back on, and then we can just. So there's the headlights. Brian says it's very dated, but one of my favorite depictions of ground-based battles from One Year War. Yeah, like I said, I didn't get to watch the whole thing yet, but from what I did see, it was really, really cool. Let me just flick off this light real quick so you can kind of see those headlights a little bit better with the fiber optics. So yeah, there we go. So that's where we're at, folks. Just going to keep plugging away here. We're on, this is 17 weeks into this project. It's quite a long time. It's probably not going to be done for another month, and we've got fair season is coming up, so my weekends will be taken up for the next, in July, latter part of July and August. So all my weekends will be dedicated to that. So, the only time I can get anything done is going to be during the week, during that time. But like I said, that's the last 2 weekends. Is it last two? Yeah, last 2 weekends of July, and then the first 3 of August. So we'll see how much I can get done before that. I just been, motivation has not been real high at this point. I've been struggling, just trying to work and come home and function, right? Because it's just been tough lately. But I've got to get out there in the garage. I've got to take care of get this base shaped and take off some of the rough cut edges that I, from cutting this base. I've got to get the Dremel out and just take care of that. But now that I've got a good idea what the head's going to look like, and now that we've started cables, I really like where this is going. But I just want to get this done. I think I've spent enough time on it. It's one of those projects that's now I can see the end, and I just want to finish it. I just want to get on to the next one. Plus, well, really, the next project is a commission, a Macross commission. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure Giovanni is looking forward to that too, because it's for him. So anyway, let's see. Brian says, "Have you heard of MWB Modelers Without Borders?" No. Is that an Instagram page, or is it on Facebook or something like that, or is it a YouTube channel? Let me know in the comments, Brian. I have not heard of them. I would like to. I'm sure you wouldn't be telling me about it unless it was something I should be checking out, right? Something I would be enjoying, I'm sure. So before we go, let me just go through the chat here and say thank you to everybody that was in tonight. We had first one in was Nick. He popped in 4 minutes early. Angel was right behind him. And then we had a couple of spams from Kick. Giovanni jumped in somewhere in the middle there. Julius as well. Thank you again so much for joining in. Then, of course, Bro Man, Mr. Bro Builder, Brian Denclow. I'm saying that correctly, I hope. Please forgive me if I didn't. Brian says it's a new international modeling organization. Oh, very cool. We should talk soon. Okay. Yeah, let's talk. Let's do it. We can do a private chat or something like that, or even a video or whatever you want to do. A new international modeling organization. So is this like in competition with IPMS, that kind of thing? I'm interested. You got my attention for sure. So we'll do that, Brian. Keep in touch with me. Anyway, guys, thanks again. I appreciate each and every one of you that comes in here and hangs out during these live streams and supports the channel. It means the world to me. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Even from the occasional guys that can pop in from time to time. I'd love to see Brian every week, but we don't always get the opportunity to see him. He's busy with his Built Sideways podcast and a lot of things going on in his life too. So anytime I get to have him in here is a privilege and a joy. Always nice to see Brian, as well as everybody else. So thanks again, everybody. You got Giovanni, Julius, Angel, Nick, everybody that popped into the chat tonight. Appreciate it. Tell your friends, support the channel, like and subscribe. I'm going to say all the usual crap just to see if you guys can, help with the algorithm. Put a comment in the chat. It always helps. It doesn't cost you anything. So anyway, boys and girls, we're going to call this one a live stream. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be good humans.